Fund has seen an influx of donations from across South Africa and abroad. Addressing the media earlier, Fund chairperson Gloria Serobe says the fund's key objectives are to ensure the most efficient and impactful allocation of capital is made available to cushion the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic for the most vulnerable members of society. The Solidarity Fund was announced by the president a week ago. Serobe says the fund will work closely with government and business for South Africa's response teams, as well as engaging with civil society formations to ensure inclusivity. Gloria Serobe joins me now. She's the founder and executive director of WIPHOLD, and she's the chairperson, as I've said, of the Solidarity Fund. Thanks very much for joining us, Ms. Gloria. So just tell us, you're welcome. So tell us, we know that the public were invited to donate. What sort of donations have you seen thus far?
Oh, it's quite very interesting because it's from as little as 500 rand to as individual donations.
Right.
And the main thing there is that we encourage this because for 1,000 rand you have saved a life. Because between the testing and all of that initial thing, you can do a lot of that out of that. And so there's no amount of money that is small.
Yes.
Because the very basic initial testing and verification is not expensive.
So, Ms. Robert, just give us a sense of where the money is going to be applied. You indicate that you're going to be trying to help the most needy in our society. So just give us a sense of the process that's going to be involved in where you apply the funds.
So the process is quite a simple one. I think there's a generic thing about the needs now. Every province, every local hospital is talking about the protective clothing for the health workers, and the community health workers is talking about ventilators, talking about these test kits, these masks and gloves and sanitizers. It is quite straightforward of the things that are required for the health response.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You say it's quite straightforward, Ms. Serobe, but of course we know that even mighty powers like the United States don't have enough equipment in terms of masks and ventilators and so on. So your task is very simple, but how easy will it be for you to be able to procure all these things?
So the point here, for example, somebody did ask me in the press conference earlier as to the question about the masks from China being defective, not being correct. And the point here is that the masks have got to be according to those country standards. They must have the country seal. What we have here, SABC, in the other countries, they also have the same standards of quality. So even when you buy in China, you have to make sure that those protocols are dealt and those quality standards are dealt.
Absolutely.
Because even in South Africa, you can end up with something like that.
So
the second point is that we do not have them plenty in the country. We have to go outside now. And Asia seems to be the one that has got some supplies, I guess because they've been there before us. And we have to look at the test kits and so on. So, but the point is that we are South Africans, and so our first point of call will be the South African manufacturers, where we can get supplies. And where we can't, we have a crisis in our hands, we're going to buy anywhere.
Absolutely.
Because it's about having a ventilator, somebody's dying.
One last thing, Ms. Serobe, in terms of the donations to the fund, people can continue donating indefinitely, is that right?
Absolutely, and we're quite encouraged by that, because that is why it is called the Solidarity Fund. We're looking at individuals, we're looking at corporates, government has done their bit, we're looking at our allies internationally, we're looking at everyone who can actually help. This is a crisis for us. This is a crisis for the country. It's a threat to the country, by the way.
Absolutely.
And in the absence of that kind of support, ours is to crowd in funding and disperse it as soon as possible, because it must go to work. It must go where it belongs. And these communities are vulnerable, they're in trouble. It's just a whole lot of crisis there that we need to deal with.
Thanks very much, Gloria Serobe, for joining us. She's the chairperson of the Solidarity Fund, of course, that fund announced by the president of the country last week.